Okay, when you have linear inequalities, when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality. So I'll talk about that in a moment. So your goal is to get the variable by itself. So that 6 out front, I'm not going to deal with it. And actually, let me do this first. Sorry about that. Uh, you want to save anything that's stuck to the letter for last. So I want to actually do the opposite of -6. The opposite of -6 is +6. So I have to put a +6 on both sides. So 6 plus 6 is 12. Bring down the less than or equal. Opposites cancel. Bring down the -2y. Now this is a -2 times y because it's stuck together, and the opposite of times is divide. You have to divide by everything that is stuck to that letter, including the negative sign. But when you divide by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality. So on the first fraction, there's a negative on the bottom, but there's no negative on the top to cancel it out. So with multiplication and division, it takes two negatives to cancel. So that stays negative. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Because I divided by a negative number, I'm going to change it to greater than or equal. And then top cancels with bottom if it's the exact same thing. That's why we have to have a negative on the bottom as well, or the negative wouldn't have canceled. So, y, and we are finished. Okay, so on this next one, I need to get rid of a -10 first. The opposite of -10 is +10. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Opposites cancel. Bring down the 4w. Bring down the greater than or equal. 6 plus 10 is 16. This is 4 times w, so the opposite of times is divide. So divide both sides by 4. Top cancels with bottom. W is greater than or equal. 16 divided by 4 is 4. I did not flip the inequality because I did not divide by a negative number. The next one, I'm going to focus after the inequality to get that by itself first. So I've got to do the opposite of -1 is +1. So I need to add 1 to both sides. -16 plus 1 is -15 is greater than, opposites cancel, bring down the -3u. Now this is -3 times u, and the opposite of times is divide. So you divide by everything that's stuck to the variable. So divide both sides by -3. With a fraction, negative on the top cancels with negative on the bottom. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Because I divided by a negative number, I have to flip the inequality, so it's not going to be greater than, it's going to be less than. And then on this one, top cancels with bottom, so now the u is by itself.